for stopping by and welcome to today's webinar, 90% plus signing ratio with this approach with MAPS Coach Anna Krueger. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available within 24 hours on the MAPS YouTube channel. We will share the link in the chat momentarily. Currently, everyone's on mute. However, we do value your participation, so we ask that if you have any questions for your coach, please type them into the chat box. Following the meeting, if you have any questions about today's call or our other coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. And that's all for me, Anna. Take it away.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with me today. It's Wednesday. So glad to be here with you. And we're going to give you some midweek inspiration for how to increase your closings. Are y'all good with that if we help you earn more money today? I thought so. Awesome. Well, one thing I will say real quick is I get a lot of energy from seeing your faces and being able to interact with you. So if you have your camera off and you're able to turn it on, I would love to see you. And then if you would use the chat box, let me know your position. So what is it that you do in real estate? And then I would love to know if we're meeting each other for the first time. So let me know if this is your first time joining one of our webinars that I'm teaching. That would be awesome. And I do recognize quite a few of you. All right, so get your notes ready because I'm going to give you 3 particular steps to increasing your signing ratio to 90%. So when I say increase your signing ratio, what I mean by that, and you all probably know this, but just to be sure we're on the same page, what I mean by that is when someone actually meets with you for an appointment, we want to help you get to where 90+% are hiring you, signing, hiring you. Whatever verbiage you usually use. So I'm curious, does anybody know what the industry standard is? So like if you're an average agent, what percentage of people usually sign with you? You could take a guess if you want.
50%.
50? It's actually higher than that, which is good. I love the guess. Thank you, Bertha. It's actually 80%. Yeah, you guys are typing it in there, 80%. Reggie, you got it right. I wish I had a prize for you, but you get the prize of saying I was right. Yeah, 80% is normal. What I will tell you is when people come into coaching or come into the group program, we usually do see them, Bertha, around 40 to 50%. However, once they get training, once they learn language patterns, once they learn how to qualify people, we see it go up to at least 80. And then if they implement what I'm teaching you today, they get up to 90. On our team, so I've been an inside sales agent since 2006, and I've been doing it in real estate since 2013. On our team, using this method today, we achieved 90% for sellers. If you want to write this down, 90% of sellers hired us, 95% of buyers signed with us, which that's significant. Take a moment and think of all of the appointments you've had just in the last 2 weeks, if you want to go back a month. But just think of just in the recent past, how many appointments you had. And if you were to increase however many people hired you to 90 to 95%, consider the impact that would have on your income. That is significant. So what are the steps? You're probably like, all right, Anna, what are they? Tell us. So here they are. When you are setting the appointment, so this would be over the phone, or maybe you're at an open house and you're setting a time to meet with them. So whether it's in person or on the phone, but you are setting the appointment, there are 3 sentences you're going to say. So write these down. I'll say them slowly. The first one you're going to do is you're going to say, when we get together, we're going to do 3 things. And by the way, there's an assumptive close in there. When we get together. Not if, not would you like to. It's when we get together, we'll do 3 things. Number 1, we will go back over your motivation and price. And by the way, this is under the assumption you've already pre-qualified them. You've already learned some things about this person. And now you're at the end of talking to them for maybe 10 minutes and you're setting a time to actually sit down and have a conversation. Does that make sense, everybody? So you probably know their motivation. You've probably asked them some financials, all of that stuff. And now we're to the point of setting a time. So that's where we are imagining. So we're at the end of that. And I'm going to say, when we get together, we're going to do 3 things. Number 1, we're going to go back over your motivation and price. Number 2, we will interview each other. to make sure we are a mutually good fit. Now, let me ask y'all, feel free to unmute yourself here. Why would we say, number two, we're going to interview each other and make sure we are a mutually good fit? What's the psychology there? Let me hear from you.
Hi, it's Rolene from South Africa again.
Oh my gosh, yay. I told someone about you. I was like, I have had this dream to go to South Africa. And guess what? Someone was from my webinar in South Africa. It felt like a step. So I'm excited you're back.
Anna, thank you very much. I actually do enjoy everybody's comments and so forth. So it makes you more exclusive because you know what? In our country, real estate agents think they're just agents. And when you're exclusive, people actually start to use you because then they think, hey, you're not an agent. This guy's actually got worth and value. So we use it quite a lot. We actually use one of your bold things that we learned 2 years ago is we said before the end of a conclusion, when we do meet with people, we say by the end of today, we're either going to make 3 decisions here. We're going to work together. We're going to decide we're not going to work with you, or you're going to decide not to work with us. And people are usually stunned by it because, you know, but at the end of the day, like, really, you don't want to work with us? And we say, yes, we don't, you know, we've got value here. So yes, that's basically just to add value, my comment on it.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that. And you said that so eloquently. You're exactly right. They are not expecting for a real estate agent to say, I might not work with you, right? Most of the time, they are used to real estate agents saying, maybe not in these words, but their demeanor, their behavior, sometimes their words are saying, I need your business. I need your business. I need your business. I need your business. And when someone looks desperate for business, it does lower their value. Almost like, why do you need my business so badly? Right? And so it is a pattern interrupt. It's a different approach. When we say, when we get together, we're going to do 3 things. Number 1, go back over motivation and price. Number 2, we're going to interview each other to see if we are a mutually good fit. Now, can I pause for a minute? I'll tell you number 3 in just a second. This is a true story, and it's the same psychology here. But I am not a listing agent. I was an inside sales agent. If you're not sure what that is, my job is to set appointments for real estate agents all day. So I'm a appointment setting machine. And I don't work with listings. I don't work with buyers directly. But one thing I do is I'll go preview a house for our listing agent. So I'll go out to the house, or used to go out to the house and take a look around, snap some pictures so that before the appointment, he had an idea of what the house looked like. And I went to a house one day. It was an expired listing. So she was already not real happy with real estate agents because her home had just come off the market without selling. So she was already kind of in a mood when I got to the door. As she opened the door, and I'm standing there nicely dressed. Obviously, I am not Haro, who she thought I was going to be. As she looked at me and she said, I thought Haro of the Haro group was coming here, not you. And she said it about like that. So I looked at her and I said, our team does things differently. That's part of how we get different results. And we don't work with every listing that we meet with. And that's why I'm here today, is to take a look at your home and decide if we're a good fit. Do you know, immediately her whole tone changed. She opened the door. She said, I have fresh cookies in the oven and coffee. Would you like some? Just like that. Because I expressed, we might not work with you. But I said it a little nicer than that. Are y'all tracking with me? Now, you don't need to be that direct with everyone. I chose to match her energy. When someone is direct towards you, that does for you to be direct back kindly, right? Like, you do need to be kind in that. But in this case, she ended up signing with us. We got the listing. To close the loop, we raised the price and sold it in 24 hours. She became a raving fan of ours. But I don't know if that would have happened if we hadn't, in that moment where she basically was like, you need my listing, you need me, you need me. If we hadn't said, we don't work with every listing that we meet with, I don't know if she would have hired us, okay? So that's that psychology there. So number 1, we're gonna go back over motivation and price. Number 2, we're gonna interview each other, make sure we're a mutually good fit. And then number 3, and this is magical. Write this down word for word. Don't change a thing. Okay, this is one of those ones that you just want to leave it as it is. Number 3, if everything looks good, and I'll say it slow so you can write it down. Number 3, if everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. If everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. And then in your notes, I want you to write with a downswing, and I'll explain what a downswing is in a minute. So you're going to go, if everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? And a downswing is when your voice goes down because it produces confidence. Any questions? And you say it almost without a breath. So it goes like this. Okay, let's say I'm talking to David. All right, David, and by the way, we've been on the phone. I have asked him some questions to determine he's ready, willing, and able. I know his motivation, and we've probably been on the phone about 10 minutes. And we teach you how to do that part well in a class that we're not teaching today. So we're just going to assume you already know how to do all that. And now we're at the very end, and I've decided he is someone that makes sense to meet with. So I'm going to say, all right, David, honestly, the next step for us is to get together and do 3 things. Number 1, go back over motivation and price. Number 2, interview each other to make sure we're a mutually good fit. And then number 3, assuming everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? And I'm just going to see what he says. Now, have you all heard before, if you say something with confidence, that usually removes objections? So if I say, guys, we're supposed to get a storm today. I don't know why that popped in my head, by the way. I can look out my window. It is bright and sunshiny right now. But if we were in the same town and I looked at you and I was like, hey, we're going to have a storm today, and I said that with confidence, you probably would believe me, right? But if I said, we're going to have a storm today, that sounds like a question, right? It's the same words, but one sounds confident and it causes you to believe me, and one sounds like a question and it causes doubt. Are y'all tracking with me? So in the same way, go ahead, Reggie.
So that downswing is that what is basically putting out the confidence?
Yes. Any questions? Any questions? It produces confidence. So I will do my best to do it in a way that does not have a downswing. It's always a challenge because I've practiced it so much. It's now awkward to do it the old way. Okay. But I will do my best. And I want you guys to just listen, and then you're going to hear what I'm talking about. Okay. So, hey, Amy, really the next step is for us to get together and do 3 things. Number 1, go back over your motivation and pricing. Number 2, interview each other and make sure we're a good fit. And then number 3, if everything looks good, we'll sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? That was really hard, by the way. Do you all hear a difference though? All right, Amy, honestly, the next step is for us to get together and do 3 things. Number 1, we're going to go back over your motivation and pricing. Number 2, we're going to interview each other and make sure we're a mutually good fit. And then number 3, assuming everything looks good, we'll sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? Hopefully you heard quite a difference there. Okay. True story. I was coaching an agent once, not on this, but we were working on the first 10 seconds of her call because she's like, everyone's hanging up on me. So we were very specifically working on the first 10 seconds of her call and how she opened the call. When we role played together, she sounded freaking amazing. Anybody would have stayed on the phone with her if they had half of a brain, right? Like, she sounded excellent. But our next coaching call, she's like, Anna, everyone's still hanging up on me. I don't notice any difference. So I said, okay. I honestly don't know why, because you sound great. I'm actually very confused. I'm not sure why. How about this? Can you record the first 10 seconds of your calls this week and then listen to them and see if we can figure it out? Because in our role play, you sound great. If that's what you're doing, it should work. Well, we got on our call the following week, and you know what she said? She goes, I already know what the problem is. She said, when I role play with you, I sound confident. and I'm saying the same words, but not in a confident way when I'm actually making my calls. So we listened to a few, and her voice was going up, kind of like this. People were hanging up on her. So we practiced making your voice go down, having the downswing. And the next call, 2 calls later, she said, everything's going, it's going great. I'm noticing a lot less hangups. The point I'm making here is it's your tone of voice. A lot of times we focus so much on our words, but we neglect to focus on our tone. And your tone has a lot to do with it. So here's what I want to do. You are all muted, except for me. So I want full participation. We will not hear you, okay? I want us all to practice that third line, because what that third line does is it's setting you up to get the signature. And in a moment, I'll give you what happens in the actual meeting to get the signature. But that third line is what sets up to get the signature, again, with a 90% seller signing ratio, 95% buyer signing ratio, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the third line 5 times together, and you're gonna do a hand motion like this. So let me demonstrate it for you once, and then as a group, we'll do it 5 times together. You ready? All right, and then number 3, if everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? Y'all ready? 5 times together, I want you doing the hand motion. All right, number 3, if everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? And notice there's no breath there. Activate the next step. Any questions? All right, let's do it 4 more times. Number 3, if everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? Number 3, if everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? Let me see your hand motions. 2 more times. Number 3, if everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? Good. 1 last time. Number 3, if everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? Awesome. You guys did it. Do you already feel more confident? Guys, that took I should have timed it. It wasn't more than 2 minutes because I did see the clock before we started, and that was less than 2 minutes ago. So think about the fact, what if you were to practice those lines, all of the ones that I gave you? What if you practiced that every day for 15 minutes like we just did, except all of the lines? Would you not be more confident when you go to set up the meeting, right? Okay, the last thing I want to say, and then we'll talk through what happens in the actual meeting. So this is still the setup of the meeting. I want to point out, even though today's class is called How to Get a 90% Plus Signing Ratio, this will also help your show ratio. And by show ratio, I mean they actually keep the appointment that they set with you. How many of you have had someone set a meeting with you, but you have no idea what it's for? Amy raised her hand. Yeah. It's kind of low motivation to show up for a meeting when you're not even sure what it's for, right? Or if you don't know what the meeting's for, the other side of that is it could cause anxiety. I actually had the VP of MAPS, who were good friends, it's fine. She wanted to set up a meeting with me, but I didn't know what it was for. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Even though I know her and we're friends, I had some anxiety for a week because she's my friend, but she's also my kind of boss / leader. I had no idea what this meeting was for. That created some anxiety. Y'all tracking with me? And so if somebody has anxiety, they might cancel on you. When they know what the meeting's for, it will motivate them to want to show up. Got it? So this will also help the amount of people that show up with you. And I'm going to give you a little free tip. Also to help with your show ratio, meaning you set the appointment and they actually show up, you want to make sure that when you set an appointment, it happens within 48 hours. When an appointment happens within 48 hours, you have a 70% plus likelihood that they will show up. Anybody have a guess for what happens if it's 49 hours or more? We hired someone and they studied this. Just take a guess.
Did they forget
Cancel?
who you were?
Oh, a whole bunch of people talked at once, so don't know what anybody.
Cancel?
Yeah, what percentage do you think actually show? So 70% show up if you do it within 48 hours. How many show up if it's past 48 hours?
24%.
24. That's actually higher. That's higher than it actually is.
13%.
It is higher than that. So that's good.
Okay.
It is 20%, 20%. So guys, you could do all of the right things. You could have 2 calls back to back. And if they were identical calls and one call had an appointment set within within 48 hours, you'd have a 70% chance that they'd show up. If the same call, identical, but they set it for 3 days out or more, 20% likelihood they would show up. How many of you are having an aha right now? Oh, this is why people aren't showing up for me. It might be that you're doing a lot of the right stuff. You're just not getting them in fast enough. That might be what's going on. By the way, before I tell you what we do in an appointment, we do teach all of this in the class Mastering Inside Sales, which starts next week. So this time next week is week 1 of the class Mastering Inside Sales, where we teach you how do you get them within 48 hours? What if they say, I can't meet you until next week? How do you get them in within 48 hours? What do you do if they pick up the phone and they're like, I'm busy right now? They're not, they picked up the phone. How do you actually engage them and get them to stay on the phone with you? So just know you're getting a little taste of that today, but this time next week, we're doing a whole class on this that kicks off for 6 months, and I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. All right, so you're setting up the appointment, and to recap it, it's, all right, the next step is for us to get together and do 3 things. Number 1, go back over motivation and price. Number 2, interview each other to make sure we're a good fit. And then number 3, assuming everything looks good, we will sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? I see Bertha doing the hand motion. I love it. Okay. So now you are in the appointment. The appointment has happened. We are within 48 hours, hopefully, and we are now meeting them at the door or in the office. I'm going to stick out my hand and say, Christina, it is so great to meet you today. I loved talking with you on the phone last week. Today, we're going to do 3 things. Number 1, we're going to go back over motivation and price. Number 2, we're going to interview each other, make sure we're a good fit. And then number 3, assuming everything looks good, we'll sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? And what we're doing is, even subconsciously, she might not even pick up on why, we are helping Christina feel safe and secure with us. We are helping set up what's going to happen, but we are congruent with what we said last time. That is so professional. It is so professional. Now, how many of you in here might be ISAs, meaning inside sales agent? So Rose, Jim. So what you'll do, you're just going to tweak it slightly. And you're just going to say, number 1, you're going to go back over motivation and price. Number 2, you're going to interview each other, talking about the agent. And what I like to do as an inside sales agent, Rose, is I throw in there, it sounds like this. Number 2, you're going to interview each other and make sure you're a good fit. Now, Rose, I think you're going to love Tim, but if you think he's flipping crazy, please call me, because I have other agents you can work with. And do y'all see Rose? She's laughing right now. That is what the client does. And guess what? If they're laughing, they're kind of relaxed. And that is the truth. I have other agents I can set them up with as an inside sales agent. So if they meet with Tim and it's not the right fit, I'd rather get them with someone else on our team than no one on our team. But I've never had, never since 2006 has someone come back and said, I didn't like that agent. Can you find me someone else on your team? Because again, we have a 90 to 95% signing ratio. It works, okay? So that's what it would be different for ISAs, is you would just say you're gonna meet with so-and-so from our team and interview each other, okay? That's really the only difference. So the main idea here is you start off with the 3 things. Here's what's about to happen. That's how you set up the appointment. And then the appointment begins with, here's the 3 things that are about to happen. Part of the value of this is, have you ever had people and they're like, I'm one of those people, I need to think it over? Well, if I say, when I'm setting the appointment, whether for myself or for someone else, and I say, number 3, if everything looks good, you'll sign paperwork to activate the next step. Any questions? When I'm setting it, what I'm trying to do is kind of poke them a little to see if any questions pop up. I don't need to solve them right then. That's what the appointment's for. But Jim, I know you said you're an ISA, or maybe you guys are agents. All that I'm trying to do when I say that on the setup is to know, what do I need to be prepared to cover? So if I'm talking to Reggie and he's like, I don't sign when I meet with people. I am one of those people, I like some time to think it over. Okay, great. No problem. I'll let the agent know. then I'm going to run to the agent and say, hey, Christina, Reggie's the kind, he likes to think it over. So you might want to strategically plan during your appointment to step away and make a phone call to give him a minute to think it over without you there. That might help you get the signature without leaving. Make sense? Or let's say I'm talking to Kimberly and she's like, oh yeah, I don't know if I would sign in person. I really need to talk it over with my sister. She helps me make decisions. Great, let's get that sister in that appointment. So when I'm setting it up and I say number 3, sign paperwork, I am actually attempting to see if any questions pop up so I can prepare the agent or prepare myself.
Good, how are you?
Hey, Alicia, I think you are unmuted. Okay, awesome. So those are the 3 steps. That's how you help get a 90 to 95% signing ratio. This worked very well for my team, the Haro Group in Greenville, South Carolina. When I became a coach and started teaching it to others, I paid attention to, does this work for other teams, or were we like an anomaly, right? And I will tell you, the teams that have implemented this have reported back to me a 90 to 95% signing ratio. So it works. You just have to implement it. The cool thing is you can see it work quickly. Like you set an appointment today and say this, you will quickly see this work for you. It's amazing. Now, if you learned something today, which did you? Would you put in the chat box what you learned today? I need some feedback to know I did my job, and MAPS should keep me around. So let me know if you learned something today and what that was. And we have a class starting next week, and I have a gift for you to give you a discount. So stay tight here for a second. Where we teach 18 language patterns. So I just gave you 1 language pattern plus a little tip about the 48-hour window thing. Imagine 18 hours spread out over 18 weeks. It's an hour a week where you get tips like this all day long, okay? We talk through, how do you open a call so they actually want to stay on the phone with you? What do you do if they say, I'm busy, can you just call me later? They're not busy, guys, they picked up the phone. What about if they are, have you ever felt like you're chasing leads and you're constantly doing the follow-up call? We teach you how to get them to call you back. So maybe I'm talking to Amy, I would get Amy to call me back versus me chasing her all the time. That would be a game changer, right? If you got your phone to ring. We teach you how to do open-ended questions. So it's a 6-month class, starts next week. It is for buyer agents, listing agents, and inside sales agents. And the class began when we were in COVID. And I thought through, what are all the things that I wish I knew when I was new into real estate sales? Made a big list, gave it to other people in the country and said, what am I missing? And that is how it became a 6-month course. So we didn't sit down to write a 6-month course. We just sat down and thought, what do people need to know? And it became a 6-month course. Make sense? To get into that class, go to masteringinsidesales.com. And again, it's for every sales position, even though it has inside sales in the title. And here's the discount, and it's only for people listening to this webinar. So today, when you go and sign up, and it needs to be today, put in the code WEB15, WEB15, WEB15. Make sure it's all squished together, and I'll put it in the chat box. And that'll give you a 15% discount each month for 15 months. So not just the first month, but for all 6 months, you'll get a 15% discount, okay? And again, the link is masteringinsidesales.com. And that's how you can find out about that class. Every session is recorded, so you have access to it. If you're out on a listing appointment, no big deal, you can catch up with it. And you are allowed to have 2 people from your team per 1 registration. So if you're on a team, pull 2 people onto that with you, okay? But you do need to be on the same team. The class used to be $800 a month, and we dropped it to $199 when COVID hit because we wanted to make it more acceptable, and then we've just kept it there. Yeah, Steve, it is 3 live calls per month. And what we do, there's 4 weeks in a month. We teach for 3, and I'll tell you why. I've taught this content since 2008, and what I learned is when we did more than that, people were like under a fire hose. And if I quizzed them, they weren't remembering as much, and their production wasn't increasing as quickly. When we changed it to 3 weeks a month, that gave them a week off to keep practicing before we layered more on. And we've seen results go up, we've seen production increase, income increase. People, if I quiz them, they're remembering better. So we do 3 weeks, take a week off, 3 weeks, take a week off, and we do that for 6 months. All right, what other questions do you guys have? I'm checking the chat box here. So just remember masteringinsidesales.com, web 15, and that you want to sign up today to get that. So web 15 gives you a 15% discount. All right, Susan, you asked about a 6-week class. I'm wondering if you meant the class I just described. Maybe you typed that before I described. Yeah, okay, cool. Awesome, looks like you guys learned a lot today. David said, if we miss a session, are they recorded? Absolutely. So we record every session, and the class is 6 months long total, but you get 8 months of access to it. So when the very last class ends, you still have 2 more months to go in, listen, catch anything that you missed. We keep all of that there for you. We have a script partner network. So the very first class, I give you an opportunity to sign up for a script partner. And people have told me that's one of their favorite things of class. They're like, I went from feeling isolated to now I have a community of people, which I think, honestly, that is huge. That is huge. How many of you are working from home right now? Or at least mostly working from home? Okay, even just on screen, I saw quite a few hands. That can be kind of isolating, right? So imagine, much like what we're doing right now, having a network like this that you plugged into every week and a script partner network. It really is a game changer. Megan says, how long are the calls? They're 1 hour long. They're going to be 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays. And when you register, it'll give you the calendar. So you know how we said we meet 3 weeks a month? It'll tell you all of the dates in the contract. And it's Wednesdays, 1 hour, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern time, hanging out with me, probably in this room. You might see my husky. I have a dog. She could teach the class if I'm ever sick, by the way. I think she knows all of the language patterns now. And Carla, is that all for the class? Oh, yes. Yeah. We are done. We're actually over time. I'm just informing people about the class. Yeah, 15% off per month, web 15. So go to masteringinsidesales.com, enter the code web 15. And then if you are not with Keller Williams and you want to take the class, you are welcome to. It is open to everyone. You'll see a spot where it says Keller Williams ID. Just put none. It'll let you skip past. Okay. All right. Any other questions either about today's content or of the class starting next week? I'm checking the chat box here. Awesome. Okay. It looks like we got everything. John, are you asking if a recording is available from today? It is. So if you registered for this class, which all of you are here, so you had to have. So because you registered for this class, we will email all of you the recording of this within 24 hours.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you set an appointment, do you, let's say it is within like 48 hours, let's say it's the very next day, do you send out a reminder?
Yeah, and I like how you said reminder. Yeah. So what I like to do, Reggie, is first of all, we never confirm because that sounds like they can get out of it. So say I'm talking to you, Reggie, and I just said the 3 things and we picked our time and we're about to hang up. I'm going to say, all right, Reggie, we are so excited to meet with you tomorrow. And remember, the reason we're meeting is, and then tell them their motivation. So Reggie, the reason we're meeting is to help you sell that house and get that burden off your back so you can retire early. That's why we're meeting tomorrow. Now, Reggie, when we hang up, it's normal to have questions pop in your head. I'll call you before the appointment tomorrow to just remind you and see what questions came up so that we're totally ready to meet. And then we'd hang up. And then tomorrow I would give a quick call and say, hey, Reggie, we can't wait to meet. See you later today. Any questions pop up since we hung up yesterday? Write them down. And the reason I'm doing that is, again, whether you're going on the appointment or you're an ISA setting it up for someone else, we want to walk in fully aware of every question this person has, because that can let me practice before I go in. Right? So yeah, that's how it looks, Reggie. It's a reminder call.
Cool, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. Oh, I have a private question, but I'll read it out loud because it's good for everyone. How do I confirm I've signed up for class? You should, and Rodrigo, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is as soon as you register, you get an automated invite to the portal, right, Rodrigo?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. If you don't see that email, check your spam folder. It might have gone to spam, but it's like an automatic thing. You sign up and you just get an email inviting you to the client portal. If you don't see that, check spam. And if you still don't see it, email fast track. I'll put that in here, fasttrack@kw.com. They are the operations team of the class. So I'm the speaker for the class, but you do not want me doing operations. So fasttrack@kw.com if you're not sure. But again, you should get that auto email. All right, any other questions before we go? Either about the content today or the class? All right, well, it's great. I see a lot of new faces here today, so thanks for joining me. And, oh, we did just have one more question come in. Oh, it's a question. I love that this ISA class was tailored in the midst of COVID, but will it be applicable? Yes. It wasn't tailored for COVID, by the way. So I'm glad you asked that. Let me clarify. We revamped it during COVID to make it more accessible. We dropped the price by $600 a month. And we more just thought through, we've been teaching this for 7 years. What are we missing? What can we tweak to make it better? So it wasn't written for COVID. It was just I was bored during COVID. That's what happened. And I just thought, how can we make this class even better than it's been for the last 7 years? And we just upgraded it basically. And then we dropped the price. So it is, we teach you how to deal with whatever market is currently going on. But what we do, for example, is we'll teach you how do you uncover the true objection and then solve it. And that way you're prepared for today's market and next year's market and the market after that. So basically what we're teaching you are timeless truths and patterns and psychologies that you can apply to any market whatsoever. Okay. Now, when I teach it, we will talk about the current market because that's what makes sense. But the knowledge is applicable forever for every market. Rose, if they don't answer the phone, would a text reminder suffice the day of? Yeah, you can do that. I like to let them know, though, I will call you tomorrow. So when you see my number, just pick up so that we can connect and see if you had anything else pop up. Cool. All right. Well, we are well over time and I want to respect your time. So just masteringinsidesales.com, web 15 squished together today. Make sure you sign up today. And that'll give you that 15% off monthly discount. And hopefully I will see you next week. Almost the same time, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Great meeting you, great seeing you, and go implement the 3 steps. You'll see better signatures. All right, bye, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye.